EA Sports.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
When you look at the gaming sphere of the NASCAR community, it's heavily weighed towards the corner of older games from the early 2000s, like NASCAR Thunder 2004. It's a bit of a time capsule to an era where a specific gaming company wasn't hated for its megalomaniac style of business. And while it was popular, there was one entry to the series that never saw the light of day: NASCAR 10. But quickly, before getting into NASCAR 10, we need to get a rundown on how EA got to this lost, unfinished point of gaming. EA's first entry into the NASCAR gaming space was a debut in 1997 with the game NASCAR 98. EA would release 5 more games between 1998 and 2000 before the rebranded 2001 release of NASCAR Thunder 2002. This would lead up to the golden age of EA's tenure and the golden age of NASCAR gaming. From 2002 to 2004, the 3 most universally loved NASCAR games ever released. NASCAR Thunder 2003 released to approval from fans, as the base gameplay was vastly improved. Then, the next year in 2003, NASCAR Thunder 2004 debuted, as what many see as the greatest NASCAR game ever. A new ally-rival system gave a more engaging playthrough, as drivers would react in a basic way to how drivers would in real life. Add to that a deep and long-lasting career mode that has yet to be matched in the last 20 years of NASCAR gaming, and you have an instant hit. And then, in 2004, NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup would release, adding lower series to the experience and the newly christened Chase for the Nextel Cup. But this golden era was short-lasted as NASCAR 06 released. While generally a good game, it was seen as a noticeable step down in quality. Over the next 3 releases, they continued to go down until the dismal NASCAR 09 that, while having a legendary online mode, would have a rest of a hot mess game resembling a Stephen Wallace car. Yet, even with that, EA trudged forward into 2009, as before that year's Daytona 500, they released NASCAR Kart Racing on the Wii. Nobody knew at the time that the kart racing game would be the final entry of NASCAR's longest video game era. Yet, even those working on the NASCAR 10 project didn't even know. Through the spring and summer of 2009, the team worked on NASCAR 10 with the full intention of releasing it in the fall of that season. But ultimately, the project never saw the light of day in its finished form. In September of 2009, EA Sports announced that it had no plans to develop any further games under the NASCAR Motor Racing license. EA had done this as a budget cut to acquire the license to make MMA games for the company. NASCAR wouldn't have another game until 2011 with the Eutechnyx NASCAR 2011 the game. But the legend of NASCAR 10 wouldn't fully die or leave public discourse. In the 2010s, though, brief and small pieces of NASCAR 10 saw the light of day, though. 3 unfinished tracks images were released, these being the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Bristol Motor Speedway, as well as a circular coliseum that looks like basically a modernized Langhorne. These aren't really too much to dissect, especially with Indy and Bristol, as they look like they did in the previous NASCAR games. The only weird thing is that Bristol looked a little too long and looked similar to a highly banked Martinsville with concrete. The most interesting picture, though, is the circular coliseum. This would be a newly introduced fantasy track that would surely challenge all players. But it just may have seen the light of day in a previously mentioned NASCAR 09, though. This more than likely was a rough beginning of the circular coliseum that was meant to later grace NASCAR 10. I have to say that the Circle Coliseum race probably would have been a fan favorite because of just how challenging it would have been, and it's probably something the members in the NASCAR gaming community would still talk about today. Now, what probably would have been in NASCAR 10 as well would have been any of the DLC from NASCAR 09. While NASCAR 09 would end up being the last major game by EA, it didn't stop the team from working on it through its lifespan. With the DLC comes dozens of extra paint schemes, mostly in the Cup and then Nationwide series. Many of these schemes would be special paint schemes from the 2008 season, and some might have made it over to the next game, which has been seen in the past in EA NASCAR games. But the main addition to the game would have been that of a racetrack, the road course in Montreal. Since 2007 before this, NASCAR had this track in their second division, so it took about 2 years for EA to finally add it into their gaming series. The track honestly looks like it's pretty well put into the game and really good, and seems to be genuinely difficult to run on when you're running with other drivers. All around, it would have been a welcome addition to the series for the long term had it continued onward in NASCAR 10. But the thing is, the DLC wasn't available for years once EA dropped its NASCAR license on the series. Luckily, some in the community recovered the files and uploaded them online so that other people could download them and play them on their computers. The only real issue with the files were, one, there was plenty of crashing, which is to be expected, as well as the fact that the sun at Montreal looked like it was exploding due to how shiny the track and sky was.
We're causing it to crash. Who the hell knows? Because everything is, it seems to be, knock on wood, good now, and this time I'm not going to get dumped coming out of that corner. How's about Dario French shitting?
This surely would have been on NASCAR 10 had it released the next year. But alas, the game wouldn't release, as EA basically quit a year from the finish line and left all the people working on the game on a cliffhanger, with only pieces of the game being a few screenshots known today. But now I want to pass it on to you. Number one, if you have any info on NASCAR 10, I'd love to see it, either in the comments with a link or on my Twitter or whatever. But also, I want to ask, how do you think NASCAR 10 would have been had it released to the public? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.
EA Sports. Go fuck yourself.